Shana Tova. When we reach the conclusion of a book of the Torah, it is customary to say the words chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. From strength to strength, may we be strengthened. As explained by our former rabbi, Mark Kaiserman, we celebrate the past at the same moment we look to the future. That was one of the fundamental underpinnings of TE 150, a celebration of our rich history, but at all times with our eyes focused on a strong future. Over these past 12 months, and as recently as yesterday, we have needed to draw on that strength as a community. Even as we have been consumed with grief and anger over the murderous attacks on October 7th and the revolting surge in anti-Semitism that followed, and even as we remain deeply concerned about the security and well-being of Israel, about those still held hostage, and about the suffering of all innocents, our congregation remains strong, and our vision remains focused on a strong future. In an era of declining membership in religious institutions, our membership numbers have held steady, with the number of new members joining over the past year far exceeding resignations. Our religious school enrollment has surged upwards for the first time in a generation. Even as we gave generously to aid those in need in Israel and those fighting anti-Semitism here, our annual fund campaign set yet another record this past year, with more than 125 new donors and 40% of returning donors increasing their gifts, leading to an overall increase of $135,000. Thank you so much to all of you who joined Temple, all of you who gave to Temple, and all of you who entrust Temple to provide religious education to your children. I want to briefly mention some of the many initiatives underway to provide a strong future for Temple. We have taken a number of important steps to ensure the physical safety of our members, staff, clergy, and guests. In the near term, this has involved a significant upgrade in the quality, quantity, and deployment of our security personnel under the leadership of our security director, Phil Gordon. At the same time, a special task force led by past President Scott McCartney and longtime Temple leader Julie Weinberg, and including acclaimed architects John Rollins and Bruce Birnbaum, has worked with our security experts to design an aesthetically sensitive perimeter barrier plan that, when fully installed, will further upgrade our security and at the same time reduce our security expense as we become less dependent on personnel. Construction will begin immediately after the High Holy Days, and we expect the project to be completed by mid-2025. Another group of lay leaders and staff, led by Treasurer Peter Weinstock and Vice President Linda Wimberly, is hard at work on the first major review of our due structure in 2 decades. The goals for this group include simplifying our rather complex dues matrix and ensuring that our dues levels are appropriate and consistent with our membership goals. We expect the work of this task force to be completed in time for the board to make appropriate adjustments for the fiscal year starting next July. Temple's bylaws set your direction as to how Temple is to be governed and managed by your elected lay leaders. It is through the bylaws that we are authorized to act on your behalf, including the hiring of our extraordinary clergy and professional staff, and the sound management of Temple's finances. Our current bylaws were enacted in 1974. As you may have noticed, there have been some changes around here during the past 50 years. There have also been changes to Texas statutes related to nonprofits and significant shifts in thinking as to best practices for nonprofit governance. So our bylaws are long overdue for an overhaul. An extraordinary task force led by First Vice President Sarah Albert and Vice President for Governance, Greg Gerstenhaber, has been working the past 16 months on a thorough review of the bylaws and our entire governance structure, all with the goal of creating new bylaws to best position Temple for the future. With significant input from the Executive Committee, the Board, past Temple presidents, Rabbi Stern and Executive Director Meredith Freed, among others, an entirely new set of bylaws has been drafted and will be formally presented to the Board at our October meeting. Should the Board approve, we will then schedule a special congregational meeting in January, for it is up to you, the congregation, to vote on whether to adopt the new bylaws. You will be hearing much about the bylaws in the coming months, and we will have the opportunity to have you attend in-person and Zoom meetings to learn more about them. Finally, nothing about TE 150 spoke more directly about the future than the endowment campaign. Thanks to your incredible generosity, we raised an extraordinary $58 million, which will help secure our financial future for generations to come. It is my great pleasure tonight to announce one final major gift to the campaign. Longtime Temple members, community leaders, and friends to so many of us, Carla and Larry Steinberg, have made an endowment gift specifically earmarked for what we currently refer to as Youth Learning and Engagement, our religious school. Larry taught at the school in the 1980s, and more recently, Carla and Larry's son, Oliver, attended. This most generous gift, which will lead to a welcome renaming of the school, will be transformational, enabling our educators to expand and enhance experiential learning opportunities for all of our religious school students. And what could be more important for our future than quality Jewish education and experiences for our kids? With enormous thanks to the Steinbergs and to all of you who support Temple financially and otherwise, our future is one of continued strength, meaning, and purpose. Shana Tova, everyone.